Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today, we are doing something a little different.
A little bit, yeah.
Usually, we're looking at historical data or a new scientific paper or, maybe a biography. But today, we are staring directly into the abyss of modern media.
And it feels like the abyss is staring back.
It is, and it looks suspiciously well coordinated.
It certainly does. It's one of those topics where, once you see the pattern, you really can't unsee it.
Right.
It just changes how you watch television, how you scroll through social media, how you read the news, everything.
We are breaking down a really fascinating and, frankly, quite aggressive piece of cultural commentary today.
That's a good word for it. Aggressive.
We're looking at a video titled, "This is Fucking Bizarre," by the commentator Paul Joseph Watson.
Okay.
And before we even start, I really want to set the table. Watson is analyzing a very specific moment in time.
It's early 2026.
Exactly. We're about 1 year into a hypothetical second Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
The media landscape is, it's on fire.
Mm-hmm. To say the least.
And Watson is arguing that what we're seeing from Hollywood, the outrage, the tears, the speeches.
All of it.
He's saying it isn't organic emotion. He argues it is a script.
And he doesn't just mean script in a metaphorical sense, like, oh, they're all sort of thinking the same thing.
Oh.
He's suggesting it's a literal script, enforced by the very corporate agencies that manage these careers.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the hive mind. We're going to talk about astroturfing.
Which is, for anyone who doesn't know, basically fake grassroots support.
Exactly. And we've got accusations of hypocrisy, forced apologies, and this overarching question that I think is just crucial for anyone consuming media today.
What's that?
Is this activism or is this acting?
And that is the crucial distinction, isn't it? Because if it is acting, if it's a performance that's paid for or coerced by an agency,
then it changes everything.
It changes how we interpret the message entirely. It stops being a moral stance and it starts being a brand deliverable. It becomes a commercial.
Yeah. It's just an ad.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into the meat of this. Part 1, the script in the echo chamber.
Okay.
Watson opens his video with a montage. And honestly, it is jarring.
It's very effective editing, for sure. But the content itself is what's so disturbing.
He plays clips of Natasha Lyonne, Olivia Wilde, Ariana Grande.
Huge names.
Yeah.
Cultural icons.
Yeah. And they are all appearing on camera, likely on their social media channels or in these interview segments. And they are vibrating with this intense emotion.
It's high anxiety. You can tell the emotional dial is turned up to 11.
Right.
You can almost feel the stress radiating off them.
Yes. High anxiety. But what catches your ear and what Watson really isolates, it isn't the emotion, it's the phrasing. He highlights this specific recurring line that keeps popping up in different mouths from different people.
The line is, "This is extremely dangerous to our democracy."
Exactly.
Which, to be fair, is a phrase that has become almost a mantra in certain media circles over the last few years, right?
Oh, sure. We've heard pundits say it constantly.
Yeah, on cable.
But seeing it filter down into the mouths of actors and pop stars in this really synchronized way is what Watson finds so suspect.
It's like a choir.
It is. You have one person saying, and I'm quoting the source here, "I've never been more proud to be an American seeing the people rise up."
Okay.
And then almost without taking a breath, they pivot to, "And I've never been more ashamed to be an American seeing what our government is doing."
It's a powerful juxtaposition, very dramatic.
But then he cuts to the next person. "I've never been more proud. I've never been more ashamed." Then the next, "Proud, ashamed." It's identical.
It's word for word, word for word.
This creates what we call an uncanny valley effect in communication.
Right, like with robots.
Exactly. Usually we use that term for robotics when a robot looks almost human but not quite and it just creeps us out. Here it applies to speech. We expect humans, even when they agree on a topic, to express themselves differently. We all have different vocabularies, different cadences.
Different ways of processing anger or trauma. Totally. You might say, "This is really messing up the country," and I might say, "I'm worried about our institution." We mean the same thing, but we sound like two different people.
Of course.
Exactly. So when you remove that variant, when 20 people use the exact same sentence structure, it stops sounding like a collection of individuals.
And it starts sounding like what?
A press release. It sounds like a press release being read by multiple spokespeople. It just strips away the authenticity of the whole sentiment.
And Watson has a theory for why this is happening. He drops this line that I think confuses people at first, but then he explains it.
Okay.
He keeps saying these celebrities are managed by the CIA.
Right, and he's definitely doing a bit of wordplay there. He knows it's not the spies in Langley.
Yeah, he clarifies that he's referring to the CAA, the Creative Artists Agency.
But he's jokingly conflating them with the Central Intelligence Agency to suggest this, conspiracy of control.
It's a rhetorical device, sure, but it really underscores his point about the power dynamic.
And for listeners who don't know the inside baseball of Hollywood, CAA is not just a talent. It's the Titan. They represent the A-list. If you are a big star, there's a very high chance you are represented by them or one of their major competitors. But CAA is the focus here.
And Watson points to a specific mechanism within CAA. He notes that they have a division called the Community and Impact.
Community and Impact.
It sounds so corporate-friendly, very safe.
Very nice, yeah. It sounds like they organize charity fight.
But Watson's argument is that this department isn't just about organizing charity bake sales.
I'm guessing not.
He claims it partners with clients on activism and social responsibility.
Which, on paper, that sounds great. Who doesn't want to be responsible? Who doesn't want to have an impact?
Sure. But Watson interprets this not as an opportunity for the artist, but as a mechanism for compliance. If the agency has a community and impact strategy, a corporate stance on a political issue, that strategy needs foot soldiers.
It needs mouthpiece.
Exactly. The source argues that this becomes a way to force clients to regurgitate the script. The implication is basically, we, the agency, have a message we want to push. You are our talent. Go say the line.
And if you don't?
Well, as Watson puts it pretty bluntly, or you're out on your ass. That is the fears. And it's not just about being trendy. It's about career survival. So when we see someone like Natasha Lyonne wearing an Ice Out pin and saying, I can't sit here and pretend this is normal, Watson is asking a fundamental question.
Is that Natasha Lyonne speaking?
Or is that CAA speaking?
It raises the question of agency, and no pun intended there. But seriously, when does a celebrity stop being an artist and start being, a mouth? Watson points out Olivia Wilde saying, the world is hurting right. It's appalling.
Right.
And he juxtaposes that with the idea that these same people literally have nothing to say about other tragedies that don't script.
We're definitely going to get to that hypocrisy angle in a second, because that is a huge part of the source material, the selective nature of this outrage.
It is.
But I want to stick on this script idea for just a moment longer. Mark Ruffalo is another name that comes up a lot in this section.
Yes, the Hulk himself, a very, very politically active figure.
So Watson shows a clip of Ruffalo looking very serious, saying, what I'm seeing here happening is not America. It's almost like a script went out.
Okay.
Now, Watson cuts this mischievously. He makes it look like Ruffalo is admitting he is following a script, even though in context, Ruffalo is probably criticizing the government or the opposition.
Creative editing.
But then Watson just slams us with the montage again. News anchors, celebs, influencers, all chanting, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
It's that repetition that just kills the authentic.
It does.
If I tell you something from the heart, I'm going to stumble. I'm going to pause. I might use a weird metaphor that only makes sense to me,
Right.
If I read a teleprompter, I'm going to be perfect. And these celebrities, despite being actors, or perhaps because they are actors, they're delivering these lines with a polished cadence that just screams talking.
It reminds me of that old viral clip. You have to remember that with one of all the local news anchors from the Sinclair Broadcast Group.
Oh, yeah.
Saying the exact same thing about fake news a few years ago.
And the phrase was, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. It was the exact same phrase then, too.
That is fascinating. I didn't even put that together.
It's the centralization of narrative. And Watson's critique is that Hollywood has become just another branch of that centralized narrative machine. The CIA joke lands because, to him, the functional outcome is the same. Centralized control of information and opinion. Whether it's the government doing it or a massive corporation like CAA doing it, the result for the listener,
it's manufactured consensus.
Yes.
So if the script is the method, how is this coordinated repetition? Let's talk about the what. Because Watson argues that the script isn't just repetitive, it's incredibly selective. This brings us to part 2 of our deep dive, selective outrage and hypocrisy.
This is where the source material gets very, very specific. Watson invokes what he calls the tale of two victims.
Right.
He uses this to illustrate the moral of this.
Okay, so he contrasts how the celebrity class reacts to different kinds of death. He brings up the Alex Priddian. Now, for our listeners who might not know, can you remind us of the context here according to the source?
Sure. According to the source, this was a tragic event in Minneapolis involving an individual named Alex Priddy, and it became a real flashpoint for this specific political narrative.
Okay.
In response to this death, Target, the massive retail corporation, released a public...
And what do they say?
They said they were heartbroken. They extended love and support to the community. They even held a moment of silence at the Target Center during a sports...
A moment of silence at a basketball. I mean, that's a big gesture.
It is.
You have thousands of people. The Jumbotron is lit up. The players are bowing their heads. It's a very solemn mass media event.
It is. But Watson plays the clip of the moment of silence, and he notes, with quite a bit of sarcasm, that it was underwhelming.
He says something like, not much in the way of silence there was there.
Yeah, you can hear people murmuring, maybe buying. But his bigger point isn't about the quality of the silence.
It's about who doesn't get a moment of silence.
Exactly.
He lists specific names. He mentions Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungar.
Right. And these are victims who, according to the source and the public record, were killed by individuals who were in the country illegally.
Okay, so this is where the politics gets very sharp.
Very. Watson's argument is that these names, Riley, Nungar, are completely absent celebrities.
He says, and I'm quoting here, "I don't remember any of these basketball or hockey teams giving a single shit about Laken Riley."
It's a brutal critique. He's accusing these celebrities and these corporations of valuing human life based on its political.
Unpack that for me. Political utility. What does that mean in this context?
It means, does this tragedy help my team?
Right.
If a victim fits the narrative of state oppression or systemic injustice as defined by their script, then they get the memorial. They get the hashtags. They get the Olivia Wilde.
Why?
Because their death reinforces the argument the agent.
But if the victim is killed by someone who shouldn't be in the country, which contradicts the narrative that border enforcement is bad or unnecessary, then why?
Then silence. Absolute silence.
Right.
Watson argues that normalizing murder depends entirely on the identity of the perpetrator. He says celebrities don't want to normalize seeing people murdered on the internet, yet they ignore a laundry list of Americans killed in ways that are inconvenient to their politics.
It's the curation of tragedy. It forces you, the listener, to ask, is the outrage about the loss of life, or is it about the political point you can score with the loss of life?
That is the uncomfortable question. And speaking of curation, there's this really intense segment in the video about the genocide narrative.
Oh, this clip.
This is where the gap between the script and reality becomes visibly absurd.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. Watson shows footage of protesters surrounding a vehicle.
Right. Can you describe the scene for us?
It's just chaotic. You have people screaming, they're blocking a car, they are shouting at law enforcement, and the rhetoric is just, it's dialed up to 11.
They are shouting that border control is literal genocide.
Literal genocide. They're using phrases like rounding us up, shooting us in the streets.
The language is apocalyptic.
It is. If you just listen to the audio, you would think you were listening to a war crime in progress. They truly seem to believe they're stopping a massacre.
But then Watson reveals the context of that specific clip. And this is where the jaw drops.
It really is.
Right. The camera pans or cuts to the police officer involved in this genocide. And he explained very calmly on camera, "We are here to arrest a child sex offender."
A child sex offender.
Unbelievable.
Not a political dissident, not an undocumented grandmother.
A predator.
A predator.
Yeah.
And the protesters are blocking the path, honking horns, and impeding the investigation.
That is, bizarre is the word Watson used title, and it fits perfectly here.
It really does.
You have people who are convinced they are fighting genocide, they're acting at the script of resistance, and in reality they're protecting a predator from being arrested.
It's the ultimate example of script over reality.
Watson's argument is that these protesters, and by extension, the celebrities cheering them on from their mansions, have become so detached from the actual details of law enforcement that they view any state action as an existential threat.
It's purely reflex, isn't it?
It seems like it.
Police equals bad. Arrest equals genocide. It's like a mathematical formula in their heads. They don't check the variables.
Even if the variable is sex offender.
Right.
And Watson uses this to just hammer home the disconnect. He says, leftist celebrities have finally rediscovered a common rallying call protecting literal criminals from consequences.
That is a heavy accusation.
It is.
But when you see the footage, when you see them physically blocking the arrest of a sex offender while screaming about justice, it's hard to argue that the optics aren't disastrous.
It completely undermines the credibility of the entire movement. It just reinforces his theory of the hive mind. If you are in the hive, you defend the hive no matter what. You don't ask, wait, who is in the car?
You just swarm.
You stick to the script.
Which brings us to another form of swarming, the economic kind. Part 3 of our deep dive is all about the economic disconnect. And we have to talk about Mark Ruffalo again.
Of course.
He really is central to this video, isn't he?
He is the avatar for this entire phenomenon in Watson's eyes. He really is.
So Ruffalo is calling for a national general economic strike.
Stop the economy. That's the specific quote.
Stop the economy until this is over. He wants everyone to stop working to protest the government's policy, presumably the deportations or the border enforcement we just discussed.
Now, let's be fair for a second. A general strike is a historical tool of labor.
Sure.
It has a long, proud history. Unions use it. It's how we got the weekend. It's how we got safety standards.
Right.
But Watson ripped this specific call apart. And why? Is it the mess?
I mean, he does not hold back. He points out that Mark Ruffalo has a net worth of something like $300 million.
$300 million. It's the let them eat cake moment of the 21st century.
He really is.
Watson is mocking the idea of a Hollywood elitist secure in his mansion with millions in the bank, telling a truck driver or a waitress or a nurse to stop the economy.
Sorry, kids, no dinner tonight. The guy from the Avengers said we need to strike.
Exactly. Watson argues that this is a sanctimonious virtue. For Ruffalo, a strike is a headline. It's a day off. For a working-class family, strike is foreclosure. It's hunger. It's losing health insurance. It's not a game.
And Watson adds another layer to this. He argues that the ordinary working American Ruffalo is appealing.
Don't agree with him.
They actually support the policies Ruffalo's protest.
This is the ideological Watson specifically mentions icy immigration and customs enforcement. He claims that the working class, by and large, supports border enforcement because they are the ones competing for wage or living in the border.
So you have this double disconnect.
Yeah.
Ruffalo is economically disconnected because he's rich, and he's ideologically disconnected because he just assumes the workers agree with him.
It's that bubble. In the Hollywood bubble, everyone thinks ICE is the Gestapo. In the Rust Belt, maybe ICE is seen as upholding the law. And Ruffalo can't seem to bridge that gap. He assumes his bubble extends to the factory floor.
Watson calls it a low-stakes performance for the rich that would be devastating for the poor.
It's easy to call for a shutdown when you have savings. It's easy to be a revolutionary when you have a safety net made of gold.
But it's not just American actors, right? Watson goes after the international commentary, too. He brings up Will Poulter.
The British actor.
Yeah. Poulter is giving this interview about how heartbreaking the situation in America is and how we have immigrants to thank for everything.
And Watson, being British himself, takes particular offense to that. Triggers some.
He really goes off. He basically says, who are you to lecture America when the UK is a disaster?
And he cites specific domestic issues. He mentioned predatory grooming gangs, soaring violent and sexual crime, and the erosion of national...
So his point is, fix your own house before you come over here and tell us how to arrange the furniture.
Pretty much. It's the arrogance of the global celebrity. The idea that because you are famous, your opinion transcends borders.
Will Poulter says, I don't want to conflate my influence, but I try to motivate change. Watson just laughs at it.
He says, surely Trump's just going to do a complete 180 because actor Will Poulter drew attention to it.
Yeah.
It highlights the futility and perhaps the narcissism of the act. Does Will Poulter really think the U.S. president cares about his opinion?
Or is he just doing it for the CIA?
Exactly. Is he doing it for the agency to show he's a good soldier?
Which brings us back to the motivation. Why do they do it? Is it just ego? Is it just narcissism? Or is it something more sinister? Part 4, coercion and the fear of silence.
This is the darkest part of the theory. Because up until now, we might assume these celebrities are just out of touch. We might assume they're just goofy rich people, but Watson suggests they're actually afraid.
He brings in Lawrence Fox.
Another actor, a British actor, known for being very outspoken against the current Hollywood.
Right. He's sort of a whistleblower in this context.
He is.
Fox says it plainly in the clip Watson shares. He just says, it is a script. Actors are paid to say these lines.
He frames it as a transaction. It's not it's employment. If you repeat the approved message, you get the roles, you get the endorsements.
The magazine covers.
All of it. And if you refuse, the money stops.
And Hollywood finds itself someone else who will. That's the quote. That's a chilling thought.
It is.
It turns the entire industry into a propaganda arm where the actors are hostages to their own paychecks.
And it explains the uniformity we talked about in part 1. Why does everyone use the same phrase? Why dangerous to our democracy?
Because that's the phrase that pays.
Exactly. Deviating from the script isn't just an artistic choice. It's a breach of contract, essentially.
And if the agency doesn't get you, your peers will.
Yeah.
Watson goes after Billie Eilish.
He calls her the always insufferable Billie Eilish. Watson does not mince.
Tell us how you really feel, Paul. But he accuses her of bullying.
He claims she uses her platform not just to share her own views, but to pressure other celebrities. The idea is that silence is complicit. You've heard this phrase.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere.
If you aren't posting the Instagram story, if you aren't wearing the pin, if you aren't crying on camera, then you are part of the problem.
You're the enemy.
You are the enemy. It's a purity spiral. You have to be louder and more radical than the next person to prove you're safe.
To prove you're on the right side of history.
Right, and it's a very effective control mechanism. You don't need a dictator when you have peer pressure.
That's true.
If Billie Eilish, one of the biggest stars in the world, is going to call you out for not speaking up, You speak up, you panic, you just regurgitate the script to get the heat off your back.
Which explains why so many of them sound the same. They're just trying to pass the test. Which is why Watson holds up Ricky Gervais as the hero of this story.
The Golden Globe, it's legendary.
It really is.
It's the moment the bubble popped.
Watson plays the clip where Gervais tells this room full of the most powerful people in entertainment, he says, if you win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech.
You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world.
And the kicker,
most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg.
It just burns. You can see the faces in the audience in the clip. Tom Hanks looks horrified.
Oh, yeah.
But Watson loves it because it's the anti-script. Gervais is saying, do your job, entertain us, and then, as he puts it, F off.
Watson sees Gervais as the voice of the audience. The audience doesn't want the lecture. They don't want the moralizing. They want the movie. They want the joke.
Right.
And the fact that Gervais is the outlier just proves the rule. He's the only one brave enough, or maybe rich enough and independent enough to say, the emperor has no clothes, and also you're all hypocrites.
It's interesting because Gervais is huge, right? He's successful. He writes his own material. So maybe you can buck the system.
Maybe.
But for the up-and-coming actor or the mid-tier star managed by CAA, maybe Lawrence Fox is right.
Yeah.
Maybe they can't afford to be Ricky Gervais.
That's the tragedy. The system weeds out the independent thinkers before they have enough power to freely. By the time you have the microphone, you've already compromised yourself to get it.
So we have the script, the hypocrisy, the economic disconnect, and the coercion. But Watson argues this is bleeding out beyond just Hollywood. It's infecting everything.
This is where we get to part 5, the politicization of everything.
This is where we talk about sport.
Because apparently we can't even have tennis anymore.
This clip is painful to watch. Watson breaks down an interview with a female tennis.
And context is key here. She just played a match. She's probably tired. She's sweating.
She's thinking about her backhand, her serve percentage,
her recovery. And the reporter asks her, how do you feel personally about the second Trump?
What? Why? What does that have to do with tennis?
That's Watson's point. It is completely irrelevant. The reporter asks, how does it feel to play under the American flag? Time.
And the player tries to dodge it, right? She's polite. She's a professional. She says something like, I don't think that's relevant.
But the reporter doubles down. Again, I'm curious how you feel. A lot of people are suffering.
It's like an interrogation. The reporter is demanding a political confession from an athlete. Feels so aggressive.
It is. Watson notes that even obscure Norwegian influencers and are now required to have a stand. Cannot simply exist. You cannot simply be good at tennis.
You must register your political compliance.
Exactly. The reporter isn't looking for news. She's looking for the script. She wants the tennis player to say the line.
It's dangerous to our democracy.
Right.
It goes back to the silence is violence thing we talked about, Billie Eilish. If the tennis player doesn't condemn the administration, then the reporter implies she's okay with the suffering. It's a trap.
And it exhausts the public. That's the other side of this. Watson brings up the data. He brings up the
Google trend. I love when we get to the data.
He compares the search volume for these political outrage topics, the things the media says we should all be panicking about, versus
the NFL.
The NFL.
And let me guess, football win.
By a landslide. Infinitely greater, as Watson says. The lines on the graph aren't even close.
This is the astroturfing versus reality check.
Yeah.
The media is screaming, darkness, fascism, crisis. And the American people are typing into Google, what is the score of the Chiefs game?
Watson calls the outrage astroturf, meaning it looks like grassroots movements, like real people caring, but it's fake. It's artificial.
It's manufactured.
It's manufactured by the agencies and the media. The data shows that the average person is actually checking out of the outrage cycle. They just want to live their lives. They want to watch the game.
It creates this parallel reality. On Twitter and in the press conferences, the world is ending. In the living rooms of America, people are watching football and wondering why the lady on TV is crying about democracy again.
And that disconnect is dangerous to our democracy, if I can borrow the phrase. Because when the cultural elites are living in a completely different psychological reality, populace, communication just breaks down. You just have two groups screaming past each other.
Or in this case, one group screaming a script and the other group changing the channel.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've unpacked the source, we've looked at the identical scripts, the CICA machine, the selective empathy for victims, the class war of the general strike, and the forced politicization of sports.
It's a comprehensive takedown of the celebrity industrial complex. It really is.
So what does this all mean? Let's zoom out for our outro. Watson's primary thesis is that this is not organic.
No.
This is a coordinated, agency-enforced narrative.
And that creates a bizarre world. A world where truth is secondary to the mess. Where victims are chosen based on optics.
Where actors are terrified to speak their own minds because their agency will drop them. It's about the mechanics of influence. We often think of pop culture as a reflection of society like a mirror. But Watson is arguing it's an imposition on society, a top-down decree, a hammer, not a mirror.
And the scary part is the efficiency. The fact that they can get dozens of people to say the exact same words on the same day suggests a level of organization that is, well, it's impressive, if not disturbing.
It's a machine.
It is a machine.
It makes you wonder who is actually writing the script. Is it a PR exec? A political strategist?
Is it ChatGPT, as Watson joked in the video?
Right. Whoever it is, they have a lot of power.
But as the Google Trends data shows, having the power to speak doesn't mean you have the power to make people listen.
That's a great point.
The audience is voting with their attention, and they're voting for football, not lecture. The machine might be loud, but the audience is wearing noise-canceling headphones.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. We've talked about Lawrence Fox's claim that celebrities are paid to say these lines.
Or at least paid to keep their careers by saying them.
Right. The pay-to-play model of activism.
Well, yeah.
So if that's true, if a celebrity's political activism is financially coerced or, contractually obligated, does that mean we should view their statements not as personal opinions, but as paid advertising?
That's the question. That changes everything, doesn't it?
Think about it. When you see a commercial for shampoo and the actor says, "This shampoo changed my life," you know they are paid to say that.
You know it's a script.
You don't assume they actually love the shampoo.
You accept it as fiction.
Exactly. So why, when we see an actor discussing immigration or foreign policy or democracy, do we assume they're speaking from the heart?
Why do we give it more weight than the shampoo commercial?
Perhaps we shouldn't.
Perhaps we should start seeing a sponsored content tag on their political opinion. This outrage brought to you by CAA.
Exact. If it's a script, treat it like fiction. And if it's fiction, why are we looking to these people for moral guidance in the real world?
A question worth asking. Maybe the glitch in the Matrix isn't the actors. Maybe it's us for taking them seriously.
Something to mull over the next time you see a black and white video of a celebrity looking sad about the state of. That's it for this deep dive. We've stared into the abyss, and I think I need a break. We'll see you next time.
Stay curious.
Maybe.